If you're operating a SaaS business, the biggest thing that's top of mind for you is how do I generate enough leads, enough pipeline to feed my growth? In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to build an unstoppable sales funnel so you can generate more leads. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK. On this channel, I bring an episode every Sunday and every Wednesday to help SaaS founders like you build and scale incredible SaaS businesses. So if you're new to the community, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. By the way, if you are building a SaaS business, which you probably are if you're watching this video, I run a SaaS Advisory Program to help founders like you scale your go-to-market machines. I'll share more details about that, which is now accepting new members and enrollments at the end of this video. Now, if you're operating this SaaS business, I've been there, you're probably obsessing about your number. Now, in order to hit your number, you need to have a 3 to 4x pipeline coverage. In order to get that pipeline coverage, you also need to make sure you do it in a cost-efficient way so you don't completely screw up your LTV to CAC ratio. These are all the things that are probably buzzing in your head. Maybe not exactly in that framework, but that's basically what you're going through. I've been there. Knowing everything that I know from my Marketo journey and my ToutApp journey, both very different scale SaaS businesses, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through how to build an unstoppable sales funnel, which helps you generate pipeline and leads in a differentiated way, step by step. So if you're excited to get started, smash that like button and let's dig right in. So firstly, let's talk about why you need a differentiated way of actually generating these leads. So there's a standard way and a differentiated way. The standard way, which you're probably already doing, is a lot of activity, a lot of action. You're probably doing content marketing. You're probably blogging, writing on LinkedIn, tweeting, you're doing all these things. You're also doing all the demand gen practices, webinars, events, although we can't quite do as many events anymore. On top of that, you're probably also doing outbound spam. You're sending a lot of emails to a lot of people that probably don't want to hear from you in that way. And on top of that, you may be spending a significant number of ad dollars on Facebook, Google, and maybe even Amazon, depending on your target customer. You're doing all of these things, and what this usually tends to lead to is really expensive sales and marketing. So the question becomes, how do you differentiate? Now, one more thing I'll add to this. While you're doing this, it probably looks like your competitor's marketing as well. It's not very differentiated. So how do you actually rise above? How do you generate leads and pipeline in a better way? How do you stand out in a competitive and crowded market? And how do you do it in a cost-effective way? This is why you need a differentiated strategy. The differentiated strategy focuses on a couple of other things. It focuses on actually building authority. It says, you know what? If you, the founder and the leader of this company, actually establishes yourself as a brand instead of just a company, and you go out there and start teaching people about this big transformation you're doing, this software, what it unlocks, you can start to build authority. As you start to build authority, instead of just doing a webinar and a tit for tat and an event sponsorship and a tit for tat with your competitors, you can actually out-teach the competition. And if you can out-teach the competition, then you can actually lead a movement. Because if you're teaching people something, they will follow you and they will want more. And by the way, they'll buy from you. This is the differentiated approach of building an unstoppable sales funnel. This is where an unstoppable sales funnel comes from. So the question becomes, okay, if you want this differentiated way of doing this, sounds awesome, right? How do you do it? I'll break it down into 3 steps. The first thing that you do, and this is I do this for anyone that I work with in my SaaS Advisory Program. The first step is we really hone in on your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Chances are if you've got a bunch of revenues, you did it in a whole bunch of different ways because you tried a whole bunch of different things. But within your revenue base, you have a set of customers, a market segment that is actually creating more LTV and a more efficient CAC, and you're not thinking about it that way. And if you double down in that set of customers, that market segment, you could actually grow faster. So the first thing that we do is actually hone in on your ICP. Once you've honed in on your ICP, the second thing to do is to create your manifesto. Your manifesto becomes the central piece of marketing that you do. Everything that you do leads into your manifesto. Your manifesto articulates why you're the change agent in this industry, why you guys have a wildly different view on things, why you guys are the ones that are actually thinking about the future and can take people into the promised land. The manifesto is the core asset that you use to actually mobilize everything else that you do. Everything leads into the manifesto. And you take that manifesto and you go teach people that manifesto. You go lead with that manifesto. And every single touch point leads back into that manifesto. Now, before I go to step number 3 and explain the rest of this process, let me just pause here for a second. You might be asking, okay, TK, what's the difference between your traditional demand generation and content marketing, where you have a lead magnet, and building an unstoppable sales funnel? The difference here is that you start to do less. Here's the thing, you could do 50 blog posts, you could do 50 tweets, 50 LinkedIn messages, and they could be around 8 different themes, and they're all about, hey, buy our software, right? What you're doing there is just looking just like your competition. But instead, if you take a step forward as the leader of the company and take a step forward towards leading the industry, if you actually say, here's our unique point of view, your manifesto, on how we think about this stuff, and you start to say, here's what we believe every single day, and everything links to that one manifesto, you start to teach your audience, you start to hone in on that very specific audience with your ICP, and you start to differentiate and build authority and actually lead, and you start to teach, and you start to build more trust. That's a wildly different way of sales and marketing versus the standard way, which does a lot of volume, spends a lot of money, and just spreads it evenly across a bunch of different channels. Now, you start to see the difference in this? If you start to see the difference in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below so that I know you're with me? Let's dig into step number 3. Step number 3 is once you have your manifesto, there's a very specific way to craft this, and this is one of the things that we go through in the GTM Advisory Program. This is a very specific way to do this. Once you have your manifesto, you start to run your Broadway show. Why do I call it a Broadway show? This is not something I invented. It's kind of well known in the consumer marketing side. A Broadway show is you have this one really great show, a Broadway level show, and you run it in different locations across the country or across the world, instead of coming up with a brand new show to run every week. Right now, whether you have a marketing team or not, you're probably running a brand new show every week. What you do instead is you run a Broadway level show that you improve over and over time. You just run that over and over every week. How does that come together? The way that comes together is that you do, and this is you as the brand, not your company, but you, because you're the leader and you're running the Unstoppable Sales Funnel. You do 1 to 3 posts every week. And the 1 to 3 posts can either cover a macro trend related to your ICP, or it can cover your journey, your personal journey as a leader of this movement, or a customer story from an actual conversation you had from your story. So you do these 1 to 3 posts and they always link to your manifesto. That's your Broadway show. That's it. So every week you're going out there and you teach people something new, either through a macro trend or from your own journey or from a customer story. You teach someone something new and you say, oh, and by the way, here's how we think about X, and X is the bigger space that you're in. And if you want to learn more about that, be sure to download my guide. So I do this, for example, I do a Broadway show every single Wednesday. Every single Wednesday, I talk about building an unstoppable sales funnel. This is a wildly different way to actually generate pipeline and generate leads. Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn more about this, I run a webinar every week on go-to-market secrets and how to implement an unstoppable sales funnel. I'll link to it below, and which, by the way, is my manifesto that you can go and check out. So are you starting to see the difference here? When you actually run this Broadway show, you're essentially doing less, but you're driving a clear message to the market and saying, let us teach you. Let us give you our point of view. Let us show you how the world can be wildly different when you are with us, when you believe in the same things that we believe, which we articulate in our manifesto. When you do that to a very specific ICP using your manifesto and you run that Broadway show, you end up with a very differentiated go-to-market strategy. You build authority. You actually out-teach the competition, and you lead a movement. All of these activities will help you actually create a mini brand around yourself. It'll create a halo effect. It'll help you differentiate from the competition, but most importantly, it'll drive trust in the industry because they will look at you as an authority. And the people tend to buy from people they trust. So now you know why an unstoppable sales funnel works, is differentiated, and why you need one. You may not know the details of exactly how to hone in on the right ICP, how to actually craft your manifesto, or how to run your Broadway show. This is a very different playbook than your traditional sales and marketing. This is why I offer my SaaS Go-to-Market Advisory Program. In this program, I actually guide you in creating your manifesto. I guide you in honing in on the right ICP, and I guide you in running your Broadway show so that you can increase your pipeline coverage, generate quality leads, and actually accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. So if you're interested in that, we are open for enrollment. Now listen, an unstoppable sales funnel is not perfect for every leader and every company. It works when the fit is right. This is why I have an application form. So if you want to learn more about this, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. In there, you will get all the details around our go-to-market advisory program, and there'll be a little apply button that you fill out just to get on a call with me. On that call, we'll do a strategy call. We'll talk through where you are, whether an unstoppable sales funnel is the right fit for you. And if it works, then we'll work together to actually build out your unstoppable sales funnel so that you can generate more pipeline in a wildly differentiated way and accelerate your growth for your SaaS business. I've been so excited about this program, and we've already gotten a number of founders in, and it's been really, really exciting to see the early results that they're getting. So I would love to work with you. If you're interested in this, be sure to follow the link, tkkader.com/GTM, and I will see you on our strategy call. If you got value from this video, and if you love what we're talking about in terms of building an unstoppable sales funnel, please smash that like button. And also remember, I drop a video like this every Sunday and every Wednesday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. If you have a fellow founder, a fellow marketer that would get value from this video, please share this video with them. It would mean the world to me and my team. We put a lot of effort in these videos. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I will see you in the next episode.